CoMix study is a contact survey study, and that means we ask people to tell us how many face-to-face conversations have you had in the 24 hours before filling in the survey. So this gives us information on the types of people that others are interacting with, so the age, the setting, so whether that's in their home or work, or it could be at school or in bars or restaurants. And it also tells us how long people are spending together. So this is quite similar to contact tracing, where if somebody has been infected with COVID, you're then trying to find out who have they interacted with so that you can stop onward transmission. But in contrast to contact tracing, we don't care whether somebody's had COVID or not. We're trying to measure the underlying levels of interactions between people so that we can tell how that changes when different restrictions come into place.
Participants are invited to respond to the survey once every 2 weeks, and we collect weekly data by running 2 alternating panels. This data goes into models to predict how fast the infection might spread. We also ask participants about their risk mitigation behaviours and habits, and their attitudes towards government interventions.
We use the results from the social contact survey to monitor the amount of contact people are having throughout the pandemic, and that allows us to estimate the reproduction number, and also gives us some measure of the effectiveness of policies about social distancing and lockdowns and other similar policies.
It certainly felt very great when we received the first batch of data from Europe. Towards the end of last year, we were working really hard on preparing the data infrastructure for the project extension from the UK to other European countries. Now that the first group of European countries are near the end of data collection, and we have 2 groups to close in the near future, I really look forward to contributing to and seeing the analytical output from this CoMix data. I think it will be really helpful for us to understand better contact patterns, and also the way in which vaccination programs and other countermeasures work.
So my proudest moment is probably when friends send me results of the study and how they use those results in their own work, especially when that work is applied in policy making or making decisions about safety or other aspects of the pandemic.
CoMix is the largest contact survey ever conducted, and it's allowed us to get a real insight into how people interact with one another during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, prior to this, there was a survey conducted called Polymod. That informed us about how people interacted with one another before the pandemic. And one of the most important things that we're going to do post-CoMix is to try and remeasure how people interact with one another. So we're going to need to conduct another study similar to CoMix, but with slightly different questions, because we don't expect the behaviour to be the same as it was during the pandemic, and we don't expect the behaviour to be the same as it was before the pandemic. So we're going to need to update our information about how people interact with one another. So it's going to be really important to set those baselines for the decades to come to help inform mathematical models and essentially the decisions that will be made that affect individuals during pandemics and different disease outbreaks.